let's be careful, use our heads, and have a safe Halloween, and go Dodgers. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Let the record reflect Commissioners Sobroff, Johnson, and Goldsmith are present, and we have a quorum. Number one on the agenda, consent agenda items. We have speaker cards on every item except for 1S.
Except for 1F?
S is in Sam, sir.
I'll move item 1S.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's hear 1A.
1A, we have Herman, followed by Michael Novick.
Go ahead.
Morning, Commissioners. The trooper is back. The trooper is here. The trooper would like to speak to you regarding the department report dated for October 20th. In my attempt to stay on topic regarding the people's business, for the people, we the people, Ralph M. Brown Act, 42 USC 1983, with all due respect, sir. Shout out. But now on to the business of employee wellness. Let's talk about the Mental Health Day for Los Angeles LAPD. Let us talk about the wrath of mental health towards Ms. Shane down there. So you see, in order to have employee wellness, employees should have a mental health day to celebrate what we all go through in life, stresses, and to de-stress ourselves for beautification and annual events. We celebrate them on Halloween in order so that we all can be a part of the Troopers Halloween event. So I won't use up too much of my 32 seconds left. But in regards to events, I'm all for it. I think our rank and file should be paid for a mental health day so that they can escape the hardship of a bad work environment in order to escape Employee Wellness Day and discover that there's life after employment. Thank you.
Michael Novick.
Yeah, I've come here week after week and asked the Board of Police Commissioners to sum up the amount of money that's coming in weekly from various nonprofit and community organizations to supplement the enormous budget of the Los Angeles Police Department. This is another example of it. Over $17,000 in this one, over $80,000 this week alone. It's your responsibility and duty to tell these organizations that they should put their money into better causes. The LAPD is superlatively funded by the city, with the majority of all the city budget going into its coffers and various other grants and programs. So I would urge you to reject this. I think if you don't, it's a dereliction of your duty, and you are regularly derelict in your duty. 2 weeks ago, you ended this meeting, went into executive session, never came back out. I came back twice to talk to the guards out front who told me to leave. Everybody had left. That means that you violated the Brown Act because you did not come back out to report what you did in executive session. You did not listen to public comments prior to taking your executive session actions about police discipline. And I was on the, I had cards submitted for public comment, for comments on the Sheriff's Department, for comments on the executive session items, none of which you heard. So I challenge you to reverse any actions you took 2 weeks ago, and I challenge you to sum up and total this week's take by the LAPD, which I think is unconscionable. I think that you need to take your responsibility seriously as the representatives of the people who live in the city, with oversight over the police department. Since these require your approval and your consent, you have a responsibility to withhold your consent from grossly overfunding the Los Angeles Police Department while it's the most murderous police department in the country. Thank you.
Motion for, is that it on 1A?
I'll move item 1A.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item 1B.
Can we have the record reflect that Commissioner McLean Hill is present now?
Okay.
On 1B, we have Herman. He also has comment cards for 1C and 1D. Mr. Herman?
Wow. Look at this, folks. Little under $14,000 for the Los Angeles Police Foundation. And what is it considering? Supplemental what? Donations for the NYU? What is NYU School of Law? Does it practice the 42 USC 1983? Does it practice California Constitution and our civil rights of liberty to be heard under the Ralph M. Brown Act 54950, Mr. Sibley? You see, when we cannot work under the school of law, then we violate constitutional law. See, when you got good immigration lawyers, we don't want to get them very upset. And when they got support by we, the people of America, we who defend the weak, the poor, isn't it apparent why the trooper is dressed today in elegance and brilliantness? It's to address it. The law. Abide by the law brought up by the first speaker on old business of item 1. Stick to the law, and then we can forgive you. And I can go to work. Spindler can go to work. Michael Hunt can go to work. See, all it takes from the school of law is to pay Mr. Spindler out.
Mr. President, the speaker's off topic. This is an item
Off
about a
topic.
donation.
Let me reframe what I'm saying, sir, for the record. Due to the Police Foundation be utilizing as supplement donations by that of the NYU School of Law.
Next speaker.
There are no more speakers on 1B. Mr. Herman does have a card for 1C, though.
Okay. Motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
1C.
Mr. Herman?
Now, Department report dated October 27th regarding Mental Health Day relative to the donation of vital scan medical screening services, such as the ones that valued at $5,000 from the Los Angeles Police Foundation, to be utilized for medical screening.
Amen.
Such services as the day dated 2017 LAPD Health Fair for benefit of Los Angeles Police. Shane, Abba, Johnson, Hill. When do we start the services of Mental Health Day for our police department? Psychological problems going down in LA, and we need mental health days, everyone. We need that type of support to prevent civilians from being shot and killed due to loose trigger, pistol happy.
Mr. President, speaker's off topic.
Let me reframe myself, Mr. T. Fank. Once again, we shall utilize medical screening for the Los Angeles Department as set forth. Recommendations of the board's action, none.
Is that it for this?
That's it for this item.
Motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 1D.
We have 2 comment cards on 1D. Herman, followed by Tiffany Guerra.
Mr. Spindler,
Yes, sir.
just a second. You're disrupting the meeting, and I'm giving you a final warning. No more humming and beeping and all this stuff you're doing. If it happens one more time, I'm going to ask you to leave. If you don't leave, we will go into recess. Okay?
For the record, my card, I signed up as Trooper, Trooper, dealing with cadets. Now, I'm not a racist. I'm totally not biased. But the current news on cadets for October 13, 2017, relative to the monetary donations in the amount of $11,000 and change, I advise the Southwest Area Station to prevent any more sex against children 15 years and under. Let me repeat myself. No sex with 15-year-old children. And as I repeat for Southwest Area Station, the funds to be utilized specifically for food. And also the recreational, non-sexual activities with police adults with children. LAUSD has the first problem of fucking children. I don't want to see or hear any more about our children being fucked by cadet programs. So from today forth, I demand recall all cadet programs until a thorough psychological investigation for cadets as set forth. Recommendation by the board action to approve department report and accept no fucking donation.
Next.
Tiffany Guerra.
So I oppose the donation to the cadet program. This week we learned that the cadet that was raped by Robert Kane is filing a lawsuit, and according to the cadet's lawyer, Kane had been transferred from the Van Nuys division due to a personnel complaint, and that his commanding officer knew that he was a problem officer who should not have had unsupervised access to a minor. So this is something we've heard many times before, and it was never acknowledged by this commission as being a part of it. The pattern by the LAPD of moving around problem officers, just as it did with Nichols and Valenzuela and other officers who committed rape and other abuses, and they were let off the hook lightly. Steve Sobroff has indicated he would like to make the LAPD more diverse, and part of that would include hiring more women. Yet when violence is committed against women and girls by LAPD officers, there's no recognition of the bigger picture and the culture that allowed that to happen. And as the cadet continues to speak out about this, it raises other questions that we never hear addressed. When the LAPD officer rapes someone, how is that person cared for? What services and support do they receive, which they should receive for free? How is the trauma they experience that will follow them for life considered and compensated for? And as we know, you're not making sure it doesn't happen again. We know that ride-alongs still happen. We know that overnight trips still happen. Looking back on internal complaint reports to 2014, there's yet another case of an officer in January 2014 making an improper comment to a cadet, violating a stay-away order by contacting a cadet, directing a cadet to provide a false statement, directing a cadet to destroy evidence, and transporting a cadet alone in a personal vehicle. So that is prior to Officer DeOcha, whose transgression we know about in 2015, and prior to Officer Kane. So how many other incidents of abuse have there been that the public don't know about? By the board's response to the last rape, we saw how the culture of predation was not being challenged, and with that, we saw the assurance that it will happen again.
That was our last comment card for
Motion for
1D.
approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We have one comment card on 1E. Herman.
let us give a significant impact report on cadet programs. Let us post how the department's report dated October 27, 2017 related to the monetary donation in the annual amount of $8,367.38 from the Southwest Area Station Fund to be utilized for food. In addition to, once again, latest current events, recreational activities will not include sex with minors. In the state of California, the age of sex with an adult is 18 and older. A child under 18 living with a parent with no consent is considered rape. So when we have recreational activities with events with no supervisions for the benefit of the Southwest area, this does not only not mean that the 77th Division escapes no fault, no action, no responsibility. For you have children. All of you have children, nephews and nieces. You don't have to be married. You know what it's like to come home and find your child crying? Do you know what it's like to have recreational activities where children, kids 15 years and under, are left in your responsibility and all you could do is fuck them?
Motion for approval, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number F.
We have 2 comment cards on 1F. Trooper, followed by Michael Novick.
See, we've got G, H, I, and J are all Dodgers donations. Do you want to combine, guys, or you want to do them one at a time? Up to you. What's that mean?
Let's just start.
Okay, let's go.
So you see, folks, rank and file, honorable men, women, and ladies of the press, there has been relative monetary donations from the Dodgers, LLC. Legal action, legal counsel. However, the incidents involving food and recreational activities by Hollenbach area cadets, if any, have not spoken about. You can't just stuff food in children's mouths to keep them quiet. You can't keep giving children food just to keep them from not saying what happened. Well, look, he put his arm around me, but I wondered why he grabbed the back of my ass like that, but it felt good. See, because we're influenced by television to grab asses and show our tits. Well, now, the action of recreational activities and the activities of events for the benefit of Hollenbach area cadets, let me tell you of a story of psychological abuse. Back in the day when Herman was placed at Hollenbach for a night out with Hollenbach Division, while handcuffed and thrown to the wall and kicked to the floor, he screamed out, "No more cadets! No more cadets! No more cadets!" Why? Because the Dark Knight did not want to see no one getting fucked. No one deserves to get fucked that's 15 years old. No one deserves to be psychologically fucked by grown men with guns, tasers, and handcuffs.
Michael Novick.
Yeah, in relation to the fact that this item F and actually F through J are all donations for the cadet programs, Devonshire area in this case, and Hollenbeck, I want to strongly second the remarks made by Tiffany Guerra. I think that, she's done the homework that you guys haven't, and that you should be ashamed of yourselves for your dereliction of duty around this question of allowing the cadet programs to continue when there's such a record of abuse of the children involved. I want to comment, however, on the question of the Dodgers. Given that it is Halloween, we need to recognize the skeletons in the closet where the bodies are buried, and the Dodgers are playing today in Chavez Ravine, which
You're
is...
off topic. You want to stay on?
No, I'm sorry. This is relative to a donation
No,
from
it's
the
not.
Dodgers.
No, it's not.
Item F is from the Dodgers. The Dodgers is a profit-making. It's bad enough you take all this money from nonprofit organizations and the nonprofit
Last
prison
warning.
industrial complex that supports mass incarceration and the most murderous department in the country. But this is from a profit-making organization. This is an organization that's making its money off the displacement and dispossession of the people who used to live where the Dodgers now play their games. And for you to accept this money, it's blood money. It's blood money that goes on top of the blood in your hands for allowing that man over there continue in office, heading the most murderous police department. And for you to take that blood money and apply it to the cadet program is insult to injury. The cadets in the Hollenbeck area, I suspect, are mostly Latino, Mexicano, and it's mostly Mexicano people and indigenous people who are evicted from their homes to allow the construction of Dodger Stadium, and the money that they're making in the games they're playing now and that you're accepting as a donation for the police department is on your conscience.
We have a motion for approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
We have 2 comment cards on 1G, Trooper followed by Puppet.
This is how you stay on topic, bro. Relative monetary donations of an amount of 660 decimal point 00. See, but the true number of the trooper is 666 from the Los Angeles Dodgers Legality of Counsel, LLC, to be utilized for, again, food. And what do we children like? Nothing better? Food, candy, and drinks. Incidentally, however, during one recreational activity, not from Hollenbeck, but I'm sure there are incidents in every division like there are in LAUSD. Grown men, grown women having beastity for children for lunch and dinner, for activities and recreational fun. You see, it took me all these years of experience to understand 42 USC 1983. Are you listening, Mr. Soboroff? Are you listening? See, when it comes to significant declaration of impact against children, activities and events against children, I find the benefit of Hollenbeck to stop the cadet program now.
Puppet?
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. So today, the Dodgers LLC, who will lose the World Series tonight, fucking losers, are giving $660 to cadets. Well, I think you have a problem with the cadet program, right? What happens with the cadets? You give hot dogs to cadets, and then the next thing you know, they're sucking on real wieners. And we can't have that now, can we? It's not proper police conduct. You do not give a hot dog to a minor and teach them how to use it to suck a dick. No, you don't
Mr. President,
do
the
that,
speaker's
no.
off topic.
Off topic, last warning.
Well, we can say that a hot dog is a phallic object to some. Yes.
Still off topic, Mr. President.
He
Time's
is.
over. Next speaker.
That was our last comment card for
So
1G.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have 2 comment cards on 1H, Trooper, followed by Puppet.
Abba, oh Abba, as of October 27th, 2017, for those monetary donations in the amount of $1,170 and a decimal point of 000 from the Los Angeles Dodgers, they too sell food. I'm not going to talk about Dick, our friend. Not going to talk about it. Because stuffing hot dogs and burgers at Dodger games is always fun. But when it comes to recreational activities and events for our children, little kids who look up to us as role models, as I, the trooper, you see, you brought the war to Los Angeles when you allowed such events and activities of minor children to get fucked. You started the war on our children to get fucked.
Mr. President, the speaker's off topic.
Off topic.
Let me reframe myself, Mr. Chair. In events to benefit the Devonshire area cadet as set forth in petition of a no vote, no yes, no more programs until further psychological investigations, fuck you.
So moved.
I think there's
Oh,
one.
there's one more. Puppet.
Aren't you listening?
Jumped the gun.
When each fucking department's fucking report fucking dated fucking October fucking 27 fucking 2017 fucking relative to a fucking monetary fucking donation in the fucking amount of 1,170.00 from the fucking loser Los Angeles fucking Dodgers LLC. Limited liability cocksucker, for the record, to be fucking utilized for fucking food and fucking recreational fucking activities and fucking events for the fucking benefit of the fucking Devonshire fucking area fucking cadet fucking post as set fucking forth. Case fucking number fucking B fucking P fucking C fucking number fucking sign fucking 1 fucking 7 fucking dash fucking 0 fucking 4 fucking 1 fucking 8. Fucking recommend fucking dations for fucking board fucking action. Fucking number 1, fucking deny the fucking department's report and decline the fucking donation. The fucking Dodgers suck cock and the fucking cadets are being victimized by the fucking Dodgers and by that fucking manager that didn't start you, Darvish, in the second game.
Off topic.
Fuck the Dodgers and fuck.
Next speaker. Motion for approval. Motion for approval, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. What are we on now?
1I, we have 2 comment cards. Herman, followed by Puppet.
Now you see, ladies and gentlemen, as of October 27, 2017, B for bitch, P for public, C is for council, number 17404/19 for the record. And I'll stay on topic for the record. No fucking department's report dated October 27, 2017 relative to the fucking monetary donations in fucking amount of $720 from the Los Angeles fucking police Dodgers and whoever the Dodgers LLC to be fucking utilized for the fucking food and fucking recreation and fucking activities and fucking events. Now let me slow that down and put it in English.
You see, when you have food, you have fools. When you have recreation, you should not have sex. When you have activities, they should follow the guidelines of the DOJ not to fuck children. And when you have events, they shouldn't be 15 years and under when you're fucking them at the barbecue. Let
Mr.
me
President, the
finish.
speaker's off topic.
Off
This is
topic.
about a donation.
So in frame of what the Dodgers LLC has authorized by this action, none submitted. So how does the report go? We only accept donations to corrupt, bribe, and lie when it comes to area cadet post.
Puppet.
Stay on the fucking topic.
Okay, sir. Fucking department's fucking report dated October 27, 2017.
No, you're not on the topic.
Uh,
You forgot the word fuck.
I'm sorry. Fucking October fucking 27, 2017.
Continue.
Fucking relative fucking to fucking a monetary fucking donation in fucking the fucking amount of $72? No. $7,200?
No.
$720,000?
No.
720?
Yes.
Why, you cheap fucking Jews! You're only giving $720 to eat? You stupid, cheap fucking Jews only give $720. I am outraged. I am truly outraged at this donation for being so low. The nerve of you Hebrews! You take over our city, you steal our houses, and you can only give us $720 for hot dogs? Frankfurters? When I buy Frankfurters, they cost at least $20 a pack. You're going to feed 5,000
Time's over.
kids?
You're off topic twice.
For
Next. Let's have a motion
you
for approval.
fucking Jew.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have two comment cards on 1J, Herman, followed by Puppet.
Once again, area cadet post programs in Devonshire. I like cadet programs because they get me very excited. I like to go to those department reports, especially the one here dated October 27th, which I could not participate in, but relative to the monetary donations, y'all, we all have good times. But this significant amount of 300,000 doesn't have a significant impact for the children's welfare. What do you mean by that? Well, the Los Angeles Dodgers is a multi-billion corporation. Thank you, Magic Johnson. And no relations to the body up there, Commissioner Johnson, no disrespect. But we utilize the food. Food. All types of food. Little cupcakes, little treats, little... Oh, by the way, happy Halloween and Hanukkah. Trick or treat, food you. And then I go back to events and recreation, Mr. Soborov. Do I look happy? Look at me, Mr. Soborov. I look like the man from...
Off topic.
No. I'm reading it from the record. Once again, it says, Department's report to accept the donations from LLC Dodgers Doofus.
Puppet.
Try to speak. Department report. 1J. You hurt my fucking feelings. Fucking department's fucking report. I tried to fucking talk about this fucking item. Amount of $300, and that's all you're gonna give the kids. You cheap fucking Jews! I'm just $300 for the kids to eat. You could give $3,000. If you was, Mr. Soborov's worth millions of dollars. He could get more than $300. What can you buy
Off
for
topic.
$300? You can buy food. You can buy with Big Macs for Devonshire area cadet posts. The kids are just trying to get together, play police officer. That's all. Cadets try to make themselves healthy cadets by eating good food, and then they only get $300. And the only thing you can buy with $300 for the cadets to eat is candy. And you know what happens when you give candy, especially when Jews give candy to kids. You know what happens?
Time's over. Just in time. We have a motion for approval. Second? Second?
Second.
Third? All in favor? Aye. Okay.
We have 2 comment cards on 1K. Herman, followed by Puppet.
Carlos.
I'd like to thank the traffic officers who have a difficult job in Los Angeles. Shout out, LOL. You know, it's law enforcement in Devonshire that have to utilize every means of traffic control to prevent what I call road diets. See, lately in the news, these road diets have created a havoc in our communities. And thanks to Devonshire and those wonderful police officers on motorcycles, vroom, 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 vroom. You see, they prevent from and for the community outreach. How do you do that? Well, you see, you participate in public meetings like we are today. You come before a commission, you state your opinion, you tell the officers where the problem's at, you give license plate numbers, addresses of suspects that do all this bullshit on their cars, racing up and down the street, show off motherfuckers, and you get those stupid other motherfuckers coming up and down the street on their motorcycles, room, room, room. And then you get all these fucking people jaywalking.
Off topic.
So going back to reframe the traffic control prevention program by the Devonshire Police Department, I'd like to thank them. All shout outs to the Devonshire Police Department, because every unit of police department is different from another. The culture is different. The money's different. The social environment is different. And I can relate to that. Now that I left Hollenbach and I'm living with all of you, mental health, now we get to experience Mr. Django Sibley,
Off topic. The
42
rest of your time's up.
USC
We
1983.
have a motion for approval.
We have one more, sir.
Oh, okay.
Puppet.
Yeah, so good. This is something I asked for. See, Devonshire traffic area handles the 118 freeway. You know, so when you're on the 118 freeway, you're coming from Kern County. Basically, it's a 25-mile drive to that 118 junction. Devonshire Division gets a lot of this traffic enforcement because, as we all know, you can't drive down the 118 without taking a little cocaine. And, you know, you have to understand that you know, it's okay. You know, you have to drive when you're high on the 118, and then you get off the freeway, and then you get onto Devonshire Avenue, and then you got to make these utility signboards. And the big thing with these signboards, and you know, thank you, Mitchell Englander, and the CD number 12, but Devonshire area is very supportive. The signs are going to be posted in two places. One on the 118, getting on Devonshire, it's going to say, "No black people." And then the second one, coming back out, is going to say, "Black people no more." And those two signs together are going to help law enforcement do their selective enforcement in a way that will save money. And it's in the recommendations in the report. If you read the report, it's very good. They recommend approval because they've had an influx lately in the Devonshire area of black people going through Devonshire area. And the last thing that they want in the Devonshire division and the local residents are black people. So that's the reason why they need the signs, to keep out all the black people. And that's why they want to make all the Jews happy. And that's why they need the signs. So again, no offense to the African Americans, but you know, these Jews, they really hate these black people, and they want these signs to keep out the black people.
Next speaker.
That was our final comment card on 1K.
Okay. Motion for approval?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
We have two comment cards on 1L, Herman and Puppet.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Now that we have come up with a snack shop, and we're asking for the consulting fees and services of WSK, I don't know if that stands for Wayne Spindler. I just can't see that, sir. Yeah, WSK, Wayne Spindler Kicks Ass Consulting Services, under INC, to be utilized to purchase a Hill exchange. No, for the record, it does say exchange. But the machine for the smack shop or smoke, no, I'm sorry, that, yeah, snack shop, I'm on topic still, sir. For the benefit of B, bonehead, P, public, C, concern number 17042221, for the record, as indicated by me, to make sure things work out, dated October 27, 2017. See, Shane, it's all on the record. Department's report of that $3,000. And for the children who don't know what $3,000 is, this is how you write it down. You put 3000 decimal point, and then you pull back, and you put 2 more zeros on the end, and you purchase the exchange of machine. And then we end up with 666.
Puppet.
See, got to get into my head. You piss me off, so it's what happens. Now, I got $3,000 in a bill exchange machine. Now, I'm in support of this item, but what I want is for the machine to take fake bills. Now, the reason I tell you why is because this would be a good benefit for all the officers in the area, because the one down in the Southwest Division, for example, that's there, you can put fake bills in it and it gives you change. And that way everybody can buy free commissaries in the machines. And I fully support free snacks for all police officers. snacks are absolute necessities. To make these officers pay for their own snacks is absurd.
Off topic.
Every good bill exchange machine for the snack shop to buy snacks. Getting into my head again. So snack shop exchange machine so people can buy snacks with exchanging fake bills for good bills to buy snacks to give the police officers an in-kind benefit. And again, I support it, but when you look at the report, WSJK, for the record, is Wayne Spindler jacking the cocksucker's consulting service.
End of the time. Motion for approval?
Moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to hold items M, N, O, P, Q, R, and S until the end of the meeting. We'll go to item 2A.
We're now on regular agenda items. Item number 2A, Department's report dated October 20th, 2017, relative to supplemental funding to the 2015 Internet Crimes Against Children ICAC Task Force Continuation Program Grant Award. Council file number 121777S1, 160987, and 160978S1, as set forth.
Do we have any comments on this item?
We have 2 comment cards.
Okay. Any commissioner
No.
questions, comments? No report? Okay. We have 2 comments cards on item 2A.
Prentice Jenkins, followed by Puppet.
Mr. Jenkins?
He's not here.
Yeah, he's here.
Oh, there he is.
Morning, sir.
Good morning,
Good morning.
President Soboroff, Vice President Johnson, Board, Chief. I'm sorry, which one are we on?
2A.
2A?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Internet Crimes Against Children. You know, it's ironic that 364 days a year we tell our children not to take candy from strangers. Don't go to strangers' houses. But on Halloween, we tell our children, go to every stranger's house you can find and take their candy. But that's just us. That's just an American thing. Crimes against children, internet crimes against children. I wanted to show you the face of what people look like who commit internet crimes against children. I'm not saying that we are, but the face of those people who commit internet crimes against children, look at every male in here, every man in here. That's the face of what people who commit internet crimes look like. Look at the profession of every male in here. That's who commit internet crimes. So we shouldn't look at the guy down the street with the trench coat, right? He probably does do it, but this is exactly what the face, every police officer's face in here, that's what they look like. Police officers have committed internet crimes against children. Activists have committed internet crimes against children. Firefighters committed internet crimes against children. So when we're looking to find out who's doing this, who's engaged in internet crimes against children, remember that.
Next
Puppet.
speaker.
So again, the children are on the agenda again. So what's this all about? We have a federal law against this. You have FBI jurisdiction right here in Los Angeles. Why are you getting involved in federal jurisdiction? It's an internet crime, then it's under fraud by wire and wire by fraud. It doesn't have city jurisdiction. You're out of your way and out of jurisdiction. And what you're going to do, and what I found out after you falsely prosecuted me, was the following. Turns out the department has been loaning hundreds of police officers and tens of thousands of dollars of paid overtime to the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the ATF and other federal
Off
agencies
topic.
to be used for issues that involve already programmed and paid for programs such as the task force. The city does not need, in the verge of bankruptcy, to be adding itself to task forces that they're not going to get reimbursed from. These reimbursements are grants, but you have to match it by staff and overtime, which far exceeds the amount of the grant. And the reason you guys do it is because you like those shiny titles when you can put them on your resumes. After you get out of here after 10 years and transfer to a real police department, most of these cops want to have on their resume that they were part of task force and joint task force with federal agencies. The only thing that this shit is a booster to get out of the department and get a better job. You're not aiding the city's taxpayers by engaging in federal activities on the backs of the goddamn taxpayers when you can't even pay your pensions. This shit's got to stop. You know, and I'm talking to you, Soboroff. You're the dumbest fucking shit in the room, so you don't even know what I'm saying. I could be talking boo-boo. You don't know what I'm saying. You're dumb fucking shit.
Do we have a motion for?
I'll move the item.
All in favor?
Aye.
B, again, there are no questions by the commissioners and no need for the report. Are there any speakers on item 2B?
We have three speaker cards on 2B. I'm sorry, 2 speaker cards on item 2B, Puppet, followed by Herman.
All right. The love continues. So 2B, go ahead. Give it to him, Mr. Puppet.
Is the fucking off-highway motor vehicle recreation grant is for people that are off the highway. And the reason people are off the highway, because they can't get fucking housing. That's why they're off the highway.
Off topic.
Living in a river van, yes. So motor vehicles that are recreational and off the highway are there to do camping and cooking. But now the police department wants additional money to go into the mountain areas, the unincorporated areas, and dirt roads. Dirt roads are dirty. Yes, and they need special cars with big fucking tires and big chains so they can go into the mountains and the river areas and the trees and kill trees to go get suspects. People are in the mountain areas at a higher rate. Did you know that? Yes. So the off-highway motor vehicles will go into the mountains and the dirt roads, seeking out anybody, shooting them on sight because they're on the off-highway, because you're supposed to be on highway. You don't want to be off highway. You want to be on highway. And once you
Off
go,
topic. We have a motion for approval of 2B.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, actually, we had one more speaker card. We have Herman.
Didn't he already speak on this? Oh.
Just feels like time. When it comes to the highway motor vehicle recreation, we should never invite children on recreational highways. Now, what do you mean by that, sir? What I'm trying to say, folks, recreational grants as set forth are not to include cadets. Should never, ever, never, ever include cadets.
Speaker's off topic, Mr. President.
Off
Let me
topic.
reframe that, sir. Relative grant application for the award of off-highway motor vehicles, which means when Charlie Beck was off-road and broke his shoulder, that's considered
End of your time, off
off-road.
topic. We have a motion for approval, 2B.
I got 56
Second.
seconds,
In a
sir.
second, we
All
all.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 3.
Item 3, the report of the chief of police.
Good morning, Commissioners,
Morning, Chief.
and thank you for approving 2A and B. 2A, the ICAC task force is the task force that conducted the investigation that led to the arrest last week of Bruce Paddock for possession of internet child porn. He is the brother of the Las Vegas shooter. And also thank you for 2B, and thank you to my Valley Traffic personnel that put this grant together. It's a great opportunity to help inner city kids and increase their relationship with the Los Angeles Police Department. We had one officer involved shooting last week. It occurred in Pacific area when officers responded to a radio call created by the subject's wife and county mental health workers who called regarding a mental health crisis. The officers responded. They observed the subject chasing his wife through the house, armed with a knife. Officers entered the house. The subject named James Ward, male white, had taken his wife from behind by the throat, had the knife at her throat, was threatening to kill her and the officers. One of the officers fired one round, grazing the suspect in his ear. Suspect was taken into custody. On the crime statistic front, we're at a 9.8% reduction in homicides. That is 25 homicides less than last year so far to date. We're at 11% reduction, a 10.2% reduction in rapes. We have a slight increase in robberies, increase in aggravated assaults, increase in 3 of the 4 property crime categories. Total Part 1 crime picture is a 1.7% increase over last year. Of significance in there, we have about a 10% reduction in victims shot. That is 104 less people shot in the city of Los Angeles this year than last. That's part of the mayor and the department's emphasis on gun recovery. So far this year, we've recovered just shy of 5,000 guns on the streets of Los Angeles. That excludes the gun buyback, and that's a 10.4% increase over last year and almost a 20% increase over our 5-year average. Traffic collisions are about even in total over last year at 45,955. And we have a 5.1% decrease in traffic fatalities. We are still, however, seeing an increase in pedestrian fatalities, 101 this year over 86 last year. And we're about even, in bicycle-involved traffic accidents. Of particular note, for the first time in this commission's history, we have passed 10,000 sworn police officers on payroll. We are at 10,001. Civilian personnel on payroll, 2,871. That's 477 vacancies, 477 less than we are budgeted for. Reserve officers, we have about 400. Specialist volunteers, almost 300. Chaplains, 55. And 2,172 cadets. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions, Commissioners?
Just a couple comments. First, I'm happy to hear that we have surpassed 10,000 officers on payroll. I was pleased to take Commissioner Johnson's place at the recruit graduation this past Friday, and so just excited about that statistic. I also, though, wanted to make reference to 2 other items that weren't specifically touched upon in the chief's report, but that nevertheless I think fall under this agenda item. The first is last week I also had the opportunity to visit with the LAPD Centurions at the Fall Family Picnic that they helped organize with the Blind Children's Center, a relationship that I understand is a 60-year relationship between this department and that community-based institution, and it was quite remarkable to see the work that's being done there. And when we talk about building relationships and public trust, I think that stands as a extraordinary example of the kinds of things that happen in this department. The other thing that I wanted to make reference to was the LAPD podcast, which I have had the opportunity to listen to all 3 now that have been produced by the department. And without exception, they have been absolutely extraordinary. I appreciate the department's efforts in that regard. And as a proponent of greater outreach and communication, just wanted to acknowledge the work that's being done there. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I also enjoy the podcasts. You know that Josh Rubenstein has taken that on, and I think that they are an excellent way to communicate both internally and externally. I also went to the Blind Children's School event. I first went to that when I was a rookie police officer in Rampart, and have tried to attend regularly since then. It's a great event, and it really drives home the needs of the people of Los Angeles, especially some of our young people that through no fault of their own have some significant disadvantages. And it's a great way to interact with the community and to make a difference, and also to replenish the souls of police officers. So thank you for recognizing that.
Thank you both.
We have 4 comment cards, starting with Prentice Jenkins, followed by Michael Novick, Puppet, and last is Herman.
Prentice Jenkins, founder of Peace Between Residents and Police. Chief, I want to show you something. That is a video of officers on the bus. I'm truly impressed. I've never seen officers on the bus. I've seen officers downtown, the presence of police officers on the street downtown, and I want to give you gold stars all around, because people, they're on their best behavior. They were really on their best behavior on this bus. They were shocked when they saw police on the bus. So it's gold stars all around, Chief. And I'd like to keep seeing police officers downtown. That's the only way we're going to cut crime downtown. What, 15 murders? I couldn't believe that. I see downtown as safer as it was 15 years ago. But murders are up. The only way to keep them down is do exactly what you're doing. So well done. Okay, I gave you the apple juice. Let me give you the vinegar. This guy.
Time's up. Just kidding.
Well done. Remember, I was accosted by some guy in the lobby of my building. Guy pulled a gun on me. Well, I got the videotape. It shows the barrel of a gun. The police officer said he had a wallet. But before that, the police officer said, I saw the video. I said, you see the gun? He said, yeah, I saw the gun. He took me outside, then came out and said, guy had a wallet. Well, we have the video. You can see the barrel of the gun. He actually had 2 guns in both hands. And now the technicians came over to get the video, Chief. The video comes back. There's no presence of police officers coming through the lobby anymore. They cut all the police officers out of that. I want you to check on that. I'd like you to check on that, because now we don't see the police officers in the video anymore.
Michael Novick.
Yeah, I wanted to make my public comment in the form of several questions to the chief. First of all, I'm wondering if the chief thinks that the fact that he reneged on his promise not to put drones in the air, and that the police commission approved the drones flying in the face of massive public comment, 90% of which opposed the drones, has led to the fact that most of the public comment today is from sycophants, clowns, and consists of obscenities and anti-Semitism. I want to ask the chief, given that there was yet another officer-involved shooting this week, how many officer-involved shootings there have been so far this year by the most murderous department in the country. I want to ask the chief, previously he's claimed that the Tom Selleck character on Blue Bloods, patriarch of a family of cops, is modeled on him. and his family. And I want to ask if he thinks there's any coincidence between the fact that 2 weeks ago the department and the commission approved the use of drones under the auspices of the SWAT team, and this week CBS TV, which runs Blue Bloods, is now promoting the SWAT revived TV show about the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm asking how many of the officers, of the 10,001 officers, have been reassigned to assist with the production of that show, and what it's costing the department to get that show in the air as more propaganda along with their podcasts. And finally, I want to urge the police commission to do its duty, to stop being derelict, to hold this man responsible for all the killings this department has carried out under his watch, and to fire Charlie Beck.
Next speaker.
Puppet.
Yes, I had a good experience down in the subway. Went down to 7th and Alvarado, and I saw some of our local friends, and they're wearing their little hats and down there with their little gloves, 2 of them down there. And, you know, they said, hey, what are you doing here? Isn't that nice that everywhere you go, the LAPD family is always so nice and humble? Isn't that nice? Now, I come here, and the police chief's executive director, and I got this guy over here cutting me off and saying shit's off topic. I got a guy that's not even a lawyer issuing legal opinions under the Brown Act. Mr. T-Ping is not an attorney. That's the jurisdiction of the city attorney. But again, it's because everything's all fucked up. See, I'm suing the city, and they've given me tens of thousands of pages of material already in discovery. So look up Charter Code Section 271 and 272. No one shall assist in legal representation before the mayor, the city council, or commissions or boards except the city attorney. Now that means Mr. T-Ping is guilty and he is practicing law without a license in all of your presence. That is a crime. He's impersonating an attorney. He's impersonating an officer of the law while under color of authority. And you should be putting your bracelets right now and reading him his rights, Mr. Beck, and take this jackass outside and put him in custody, because your dumb fucking city attorney, the shit over there, is looking like a dumb cluck at the fucking moon, and he's saying, oh, well, I'll let somebody else practice law when they don't even have a fucking license to practice law. You're off topic. That's a legal opinion, isn't it? Because you're representing the board under Section 272 of the Charter when you're not authorized and not even an employee of the city fucking attorney's office. So I just thought I'd bring you that. The more you keep fucking with us, the more we're going to keep.
Herman, and that's our final comment card on item 3.
Wow, what a great circulation of comments, see? I'm not the clown. I'm the puppet master. See? The official puppet master. But incidentally, when Eric Garcetti father can't pay for his legal license anymore, and he walks around the city of Los Angeles behind his son, our fucked up mayor, who does not bother to work 300 plus days to support any of your actions, people. That's why we're here in litigation. Mr. Michael Hunt, Mr. Wayne Spindler, soon Mr. Herman the Monster, the big gadflies of LA. But with no offense, Chief Charlie Beck is the chief of police. And if Chief Charlie Beck wants to control the city, then he must start off with T-Fang. He must start off with those big losers from City Hall who make personal threats to public speakers simply for speaking what's in my fucked up mind. Now, Shane knows where I come from that. The Jew up there rather see me on a tree in custody by the Romans, who put a man named Christ to die for the money and for the greed of power. But we Americans are the power. We are the ones who are going to take down Kevin DeLeon. We are the ones who are going to put Dianne Feinstein back in power to bring America back for veterans, for homelessness, and for me. Fuck you, 42 USC.
That was our final comment card.
We'll move to public comment.
We have 10 comment cards for item number 4, starting with Jamie McBride, followed by Prentice Jenkins, Michael Novick, and Tiffany Guerra.
I'm going to limit, since we have 10.
2 minutes.
Go ahead.
Good morning, I'm Detective Jamie McBride, a 27-year veteran with the department. I'm asking the Office of Inspector General to conduct a personnel investigation related to the misconduct of Assistant Chief George Villegas. I fear this matter cannot properly be investigated by the department because of his position. On or about June of 2014, Chief Villegas was given a border rights rationale from a lieutenant. Chief Villegas sat with that lieutenant and marked the rationale as he read. The rationale was then given back to the lieutenant. In July of 2016, Chief Villegas not only offered false sworn testimony during his civil deposition. During his testimony, he stated he had never seen the rationale and denied the writing on the document was his. In March of this year, Chief Villegas again only offered false sworn testimony regarding the same issue during a civil trial. The documents I've included in your packets, which I'll mail to you later, are transcripts of his sworn testimony, the testimony of the lieutenant that directly refutes his statements, and the documentation that supports the lieutenant's account of what transpired. If an officer, detective, sergeant, or lieutenant were to engage in this type of conduct, they would at a minimum be removed from their duties pending the outcome of the investigation, and if found guilty, would clearly be unfit to serve as a Los Angeles police officer. Integrity means more to me than just writing on a wall. It's everything we are as police officers. And when these allegations prove to be true, I am asking that this case be submitted to the District Attorney's Office for criminal filing consideration. Thank you.
Prentice Jenkins.
Prentice Jenkins, found a peace between residents and police. I want the board to know that I respect everyone's right to say what they have. They have the right to say here. Just because I shake their hand does not mean I believe in what they say and how they say it to individuals. I can't criticize people for making those remarks like that, because when I was as activist back in 92, I made remarks like that too. So if you've ever said it to other people, you can't criticize other people who said it. But just know, I don't believe in that type of rhetoric against individuals that you don't know. Chief, this is, I don't know if you could see it. This is the video of that guy pulling out a gun on me. You know, he actually had 2 guns. When you look at the video, he had 2 guns in both hands. That's that idiot pulling out a gun on me. There he goes, runs up on me. He pulls out a gun in this hand and a gun in that hand, right? And I said he didn't point it at me, but he did. He just pointed it like that. So that is a threat once they point it at you. And I'd like you to take a look at that, Chief. Your the Central Division has the entire full videotape. Also, you know, when that crazy fool shot all those people in Las Vegas, you know, I don't watch the news anymore, so I found out 2 days later that happened. When he shot all those people in Las Vegas and he was killed, the first thing I thought was, he's not the only one crazy. Those people running to help people, those first responders, firemen, and who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, one day they're going to do the same thing he did. Just like James Taylor, firefighter James Taylor did that, and then he shot his wife.
Michael Novick, followed by Tiffany Guerra, Jamie Garcia, and Puppet.
I'd like to point out to the Police Commission that next week there will be a demonstration against the Deadly Exchange program of the Anti-Defamation League of taking LAPD officers and sending them to Israel for training. I assume that the previous efforts on this program have been approved by the Commission. I think you should make sure that no further such grants are accepted by the department. I think this is an example of the militarization of the police in the city, training them under the auspices of an army of occupation, and promoting counterinsurgency policing. I suspect that the drone program is part of that. I suspect that the general approach that this department has to so-called community-oriented policing, which has been described as the domestic equivalent of psychological operations in the military to control the thinking of the population or the enemy, is part of that. I think that the increase in killings and the use of the LAPD as an army of occupation inside the black community and the brown community in the city is part of that. And I think that the police commission continues to be derelict in its duty by accepting these kind of grants over and over again to fund a department which has shown itself to be the most murderous in the city, in the country, over and over again. I think that the demonstration is taking place a week from tomorrow, Wednesday, November 8th, and I would encourage everybody on the commission to attend the demonstration. And if you don't know what's going on your own watch, you can find out there. I'd urge everybody in this city to join in putting an end to that program, because I think that we cannot afford to have a militarized counterinsurgency police force trying to control the citizens of this city, the residents of the city, and enforcing a system of white supremacy, colonialism, and exploitation inside Los Angeles. Thank you.
Tiffany Guerra.
Okay, so after the last police commission meeting, Steve Soboroff indicated that public mistrust of the LAPD is held by a vocal, finite group. He added that millions of Angelenos do have a great trust and respect for the LAPD, along with himself, which is why he was voting for drones. The dismissiveness and minimization of the public's concerns is not new, but it does conflict with reports and outreach efforts the LAPD has conducted themselves. Following are documented recent outreach efforts conducted by LAPD that demonstrate the public's distrust. One is the NYU School of Law summary on public feedback about the video release policy. From that report, the public favors releasing video within a relatively short period of time and generally prefers the release to be automatic as opposed to case by case because the public expresses a lack of confidence or trust in existing public institutions. Also from that report, there were frequent expressions of concern about the motivations of public actors. The report noted a lack of confidence in the decision-making of the district attorney, the police chief, the police commission, and the mayor, none of whose views were deemed very important by more than 30% of respondents. There were over 3,000 people who answered that survey. Example 2 was a survey in the LAPD's biased policing report last November 2016. You'll remember that one, Chief Beck. Of 2,000 respondents, less than half of everyone agreed that officers treat people of all races fairly. That was consistent across all 4 bureaus. Another great example was the police commission meeting in Watts, where we clearly heard from a number of speakers that trust was an issue. Another example by the LAPD's own outreach was on drones, when we heard from in each forum that trust is an issue. All this to say, by the LAPD's own outreach, the LAPD consistently does not have the trust of the community. This is not just a vocal, finite group that we're talking about. But you, Steve Soboroff, you trust police, so you voted yes. And that is the very reason you, as a rich white man who does not question the police, does not belong on this board or any board making policy decisions that will impact black and brown communities.
Jamie Garcia.
So I was really hoping that Matt Johnson would be here for this part of it, but I'll speak anyways to the rest of the commission about this. So he amended the drone policy to not include facial recognition technology in an attempt to save us from the impacts of surveillance. But drones will always be a surveillance and weapon delivery platform. They collect footage. If you wanted to save us from the impact of surveillance technology, why is LAPD, Justice, Security, and Strategies Incorporated, UCLA, the Los Angeles Police Foundation partnering with Axon, who brought us body cameras? So now the new trip is that this is going to be a 14-month trial to evaluate new methods of improving video analysis. Drones will be collecting this video. It will accelerate and enhance LAPD's existing video review process by being able to go through footage more rapidly with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So then we go, why is Axon doing this, right? So in an article published by The Intercept, All this video footage, with the help of machine learning technology, will predict how we will behave, looking at patterns of behavior. So to try to protect us from surveillance technology, you're really not doing anything by not incorporating facial recognition technology. The footage is there. You're already partnering with Axon to figure out how to go through this footage rapidly. Axon is already trying to use its partnerships to figure out how to go through all these different behaviors that are happening, train algorithms in order to predict how we're going to behave. So now you're moving into a completely asinine area of trying to, now when you see people, trying to predict what they're going to do. So you're not protecting us from anything. Drones will add to this footage. So I want to kind of lastly end by saying that facial recognition technology is coming into the LAPD. You are planning on operating dash cam cameras with facial recognition technology, and you're going to go through the same shitty outreach that you've done before.
Next speaker, please.
Puppet, followed by Jacques Carr and Ahmed Khan.
You need to come forward with why you're doing this.
Well, Ms. McLean Hill, because I know you care about this. LA Times, March 6, 2017, Jamie McBride versus City of Los Angeles. Jurors award $1.5 million to LAPD detective who claimed he was a victim of retaliation. You saw a real man stand up here in that suit and ask for that 2 minutes. His name Jamie McBride, a great man. And what he didn't want to do was sign a false affidavit. And he refused to sign a false affidavit, and he got retaliated and fucked with, like everybody knows that happens here when you buck the chain of command. It's a stand-up man. He took an oath to protect and defend the California Constitution, the laws of the United States, and every day he wakes up with that in his heart. So they give him $1.5 million. He got hyperthyroidism, permanent damage from the stress caused by this department fucking with a great detective, a great police officer. And you do this all the time. You do this all the time to good cops. You don't hear about it. They don't walk up here. They don't walk up here because their attorneys tell them don't walk up here, take the money and run. This guy does it for one reason. He'll do it. He got the money. You know where I was yesterday? Budgeted Finance yesterday. You know what they were doing? They were going to confirm the payment of this jury award. That was number 2 on the agenda yesterday in Budget and Finance. Okay? 2014, this guy's been fucking around here for 3.5 years waiting to get paid his money. A jury awarded him, all right? That's what you guys do. And this guy stands up here, and you can't even afford the decency to look the man in the eye and thank him for his service. You don't thank a great man for his service, because what he done, he exposed it. But you know what's going to go to Jackie Lacey? You know what's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen. They ain't going to charge nobody. You know why? Because it's called complacency. And that's what we got here in the city. We don't have a real DA. Let's hope we never do. Right? Right.
Jacques Carr, followed by Ahmed Khan, Herman, and Yvonne Michelle Autry.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. I'd like to say good morning to the Board of Police Commissioners and you, Mr. Chief Charlie Beck. I'm here with a few issues that I have concern for deeply that's been going on with your policing in the city. One of the issues I'd like to point out to you is that within city buildings, the language that's being used and the activity that's being carried out by the people carrying out that type of language isn't being punished the way it's supposed to. According to your California Penal Codes, Section 415, subsection 3, anyone who uses language like the language that was used in this building today is subject to 90 days in jail plus a fine. And this is something that should be enforced by your department strictly. I see it in the city council all the time. President Herb Wesson is subjected to this type of ridicule and scorn and disrespect by basically the same gentleman who stood here today and disrespected you and disrespected your whole department by using that type of language. Another issue that concerns me about your policing in the city that I'd like to point out to you, and it's not that it's angering me, it's just that I'm an unemployed man who think I can do the job a little better than some of the guys you have riding around out there. Is it in front of the Stanley Moss Courthouse every morning? Solicitation takes place by some attorney who has his runners and cappers and people out there passing out flyers to the people in front of the courthouse. That's against the the business and profession codes of the California Penal Code. And no attorney is supposed to solicit in front of the courthouse and about the courtways, the alleyways, the doorways, the steps, or anywhere around there. And I've been told that area is, that they're standing in, passing out the flyers in, that's the territory of the Los Angeles Police Department. I've been told that by the Sheriff's Department before. And I also was given an excuse that the judge allows them to do that, which I know is totally out of the ordinary. One more thing, I hope I can get it in real quick.
Sorry, sir. Can't do it. Next speaker, please.
Our final three cards are Ahmed Khan, Herman, and Yvonne Michelle Autry.
Two weeks ago, the unmasking happened over here, and I'm looking at you, Shane Goldsmith. The unmasking of your treachery and your lies. You were a part of the subcommittee that created the guidelines and moved this whole drone issue through this commission. You preside over the Liberty Hill Foundation, which I have respect for, whose mantra is that this is the LA's social justice epicenter since 1976. Yet in your role, what did you do? You completely, in your treachery and lies, undermine the community. You go there and fund organizations and create rapid response funds so people can respond to emergencies. Here you had thousands of people responding to an emergency that they're concerned about where this thing is headed, an emergency that they were absolutely fearful of, that how their lives are going to be bared and how they're going to be used as targets, an emergency that Promotoras, that you claim that reaching out to the communities had said to this department that are they at war with us, an emergency that the youth that you fund keep on saying that these are weapons that are going to target. Really shame on you, absolutely. But this is not stopping over here. Because for the last 6 or 7 years, what we've been doing is we've been raising the alarm, something to my colleague Jamie Garcia earlier said. It's about behavioral surveillance, and it's about data mining. This is what these tools are going to be used. And for you, you have zero clue because you have told us that you have no idea what you sign on. Behavioral surveillance and data mining that the National Academy of Sciences roundly criticized in 2008, that you can't do this because of false positives. You can't do this because behavior is relative. And this is where we are heading. But, you know, as it is.
Next speaker, please. Can we have the next speaker, please?
Herman.
So you see, even I was at the budget hearing regarding Mr. McBride by the goatman Paul Krikorian, who had to pre-settle for Mr. McBride for $1.5 million. Los Angeles. You see, why do we bring such disgrace to the rank and file? Why do we bring such shame to the name of the Los Angeles Police Department and the Inspector General? Because we have a bunch of liars that work in the city of Los Angeles who falsify testimony not just against Michael Hunt and Wayne Spindler, but against people of the public interest. You, all of you, we sacrifice our children to defend the American flag, the American right of free speech, the American right of free assembly. And I do that very well. The trooper has come to annihilate this fucked up system. When I see God rain hell upon the motherfucking earth to see that no longer will you be a part of it, for we the people, Ralph M. Brown legislative body, have determined that Herman Jason Wesson is a fucking racist. And pay your money back, Danny Bakewell, to Compton, the money you stole. $3 million.
Next speaker.
Our final speaker is Yvonne Michelle Autry.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to discourage all from observing this holiday, a day when many, besides the targeted individuals, are abused. They are ritualistically tortured using sadistic methods, just like your police officers, undercover police officers, and counterintelligence agents are doing in training for these mind control techniques, depopulation techniques, and population techniques right now. This is one reason why I didn't know. Thank you, Michael, for exposing that your cadets are being trained is in Israel. Your police are paramilitary. America supports Israel. I've been labeled a terrorist, and I can hear. So these Israeli intelligence are telling me that because I identify as black and I still defend those that you are exterminating, that I'm too Muslim. So no doubt the SARs, the facial recognition, and all of your dossiers against me and other activists like me that expose white supremacy and police brutality to maintain white male Zionism, and of course the protection of the white female and the American way, will undoubtedly be used, or this data will be used to continue not only to experiment on us, to dehumanize us, to justify your electronic weaponry used to torture us, but eventually to exterminate us, calling us Muslim Jews. Just like your ancestors, the Jews who were persecuted in Germany, that's less than 100 years ago. So you're perpetrating that against black people today as your sacrificial lambs and the innocent blood. Many of those who have been murdered were innocent, primarily black people, people of color. Those Hispanic young men, many of them as the black young men, were not members of gangs, okay? But they were murdered by your police officers, making sacrifices of the innocent blood. So you're perfecting these incrimination techniques, and I'm standing against it.
We are going to,
Could I just quickly, before we go into
Yeah,
next session?
go ahead.
I just wanted to make a quick comment regarding the statement with respect to the amendment that Commissioner Johnson took on the drone policy. That amendment was taken in order to improve that particular policy, and I am clear that he believed, as did all of us, that it was appropriate to that policy. The additional items that were addressed in the comment can be taken up by this commission in the context of reviewing our video policies in general, and just weren't appropriate for the drone policy. But it's not that you weren't heard, you were, and I think that and a number of other amendments are testament to the degree to which people were both heard and their constructive criticisms taken to heart.
okay, before we go into closed session, the items M, N, O, P, Q, R, and S will be done after closed session before we adjourn. So let's go into.
We're now at item number 5, closed
Do we have
session.
any speakers?
We have 3 comment cards on 5A1, 3 on 5A2, 2 for 5A3, and 1 on 5A4.
Okay, so let's
We're going to
begin.
start with Michael, on 5A1, we have Michael Novick, Puppet, and Trooper.
Is an in-custody death. It involves 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 officers. And I think that, I hope to see some action on your behalf, but I'm not too hopeful because I think that the blood of this particular death is on your hands because you did nothing about the in-custody death of Waukesha Wilson. So you're talking about the release of video, and you never released the video of Waukesha Wilson's time in custody that resulted in her death. And if you have video on this in-custody death of A.E. Portune. I don't know if that's a man or a woman. I don't know about the details, but you have 8 officers involved. There must be some video, and you must take action to put a stop to this policy and practice and pattern of people dying in the custody of the Los Angeles Police Department. And if you don't, the additional deaths that will take place, no doubt, in the future, again, are on your hands, just as the death of Waukesha Wilson, the death of A.E. Portune is on your hands, and on the hands of the chief of police, who should be held accountable and should be fired.
Next. Who's up?
Puppet.
Who's up?
Puppet followed by Trooper.
Okay. You're going to speak or no?
Yes. Yes, we just want to know for the record, the nice lady comment on item 5A1. Date of occurrence 11/1/16. Yes, the devil's on number 1A, 5A1. We have a police sergeant, a police officer 3, two police officer 2s, and 4 detention officers. The puppet went in the back yesterday and reviewed the confidential files. Thank you, Miss McLean Hill, for that access. I appreciate it, yes. So after careful deliberation, along with my friends, we have a recommendation to exempt and find within department policy the 4 detention officers because they were watching television and eating at the time, pursuant to policy, yes. 2 the police officer 2s found to be within department policy, so unanimously noted, because they refused to testify and exercise their Fifth Amendment right under 42 U.S.C. 1983. 1 police officer 2 and 1 sergeant. Well, one of them has to go down. So Mr. Beck will flip a coin in closed session to determine which one of these gets the stain on the record. Yes, that's the way we do things here. That's the way we do things. Yes, and it's right. Well, this is not a police commission. It's a puppet commission. Yes. And the whole thing about this is he's not the puppet. You're the fucking puppet.
Next speaker.
Trooper.
Whew, that's a show to beat. But such performances regarding the ICD, and for the record, for you who don't know what an in-custody death is, let's talk about, no, I'm not going to talk about Miss poor Waukesha Wilson. You know what you did to her. The gentleman spoke the truth. No transparency. You kill a poor woman, same way you killed Ezell Ford, and the same way you plan to kill Armando Herman, for the record. It's best to keep your enemies close and to keep them not too far when you're prepared to die. See, I tell that to all the doctors. It's all reported, Mr. Soberoff. When I talk about 1 Sergeant 1, 1 police officer 1, 2, 3, hashtag, 2 police officers 1, 2. And matter of fact, those numbers look like the ADA Title 2, Title 3 hashtag lines. But let's stay on topic. 4 determined officers. Now, see, I'm not clinically into all this police jargon. See, that's why I let my immigration lawyer go before me, because he's prepared to discuss the matter of why an ICD happens while you're in prison. No, I'm not talking about prison. I'm talking about jail, y'all. Jail. That's where they put people of minority. That's where they put the people with socio-economic devastation, more bodily harm than ever. And yet you want me to keep my goddamn mouth shut. 42 U.S.C.
Next speaker.
We have 3 public comment cards on item 5A2, starting with Michael Novick, followed by Puppet and Herman.
So my comments are actually about 5A2, 3, and 4. You have 3 cases of...
You're combining your three?
Yeah. I just put in one card. It's relates to all of them. We have 3 cases here of people being attacked by dogs to the point that they're requiring hospitalization. This puts the LAPD in the class of the Birmingham Police Department in the civil rights era. I want to point out that these cases, all 4 cases you're looking at today in closed session are from almost a year ago, November 1st, November 12th, November 15th. 3 different cases within a few days of people being attacked by police dogs. In this particular case, I'm shocked to see that in number 2, you're actually looking at a deputy chief. Very rare for this department to look at the brass as opposed to the rank and file at these kind of crimes. And you have 21 officers in 4 cases just this week alone dealing with in-custody deaths and people being hospitalized by dog attacks. And I think that shameful record speaks to the fact that this department is out of control. You're derelict in your duty to hold these officers responsible at the highest ranks. And I expect to see you come out of this executive session reporting that you're holding the deputy chief, the lieutenant, the sergeant, and in these different cases responsible for the deaths and the maiming that's being carried out by the LAPD. There are 3 Mexicano men, I assume, R. Hernandez, M. Zuniga, and J. De La Cruz. Maybe it's women, I don't know. I can't tell from the thing, but I think it reflects the white supremacy of the LAPD and the kind of racist, biased law enforcement that this department carries out. And I think that it's your responsibility as people representing the residents and people of the city to exert your control over the department by holding these people responsible for the crimes they're committing.
Next.
Next, we have Puppet.
Yeah, so my little goat is very emotional about this. So we've got... It's time for the canines. Yes, poor little puppies biting R. Hernandez. Man or woman? I keep telling you, I want to know the first name of these people so I can at least identify gender. It's like, I got to know what these dogs are biting. Are they biting the females or biting the males or biting the transgenders? And we need to know what they're biting. So we have this poor police officer 3, and you know what he did?
Herman, last warning.
He went out to lunch. He went out to In-N-Out, ordered himself a double-double, and he forgot to give the canine a little piece of that meat. And that little doggy watched his officer eat that lunch, and the first sign of some brown meat, that dog jumps right out of there and bites the first brown ass he can possibly bite, because that's the way you train these canines. And I've been seeing these canines around lately. They look a little hostile. I've been looking at them, and I know I'm a dog whisperer, man. I go up to dogs, and they tell me at their little paws and their little ears. I go to the sheriff's canine units, the little doggy comes right up. But these goddamn LAPD canines lately, they're in the back of the car a mile away. Yeah, they're ready to get out of there and kill. And I'm like, who's training these dogs to be killers? Let us train our puppies to be pacifists, peacemakers, Dogs for Peace. That's my new nonprofit, Dogs for Peace. No more of these canines. Dogs are not weapons. Dogs are pets.
Herman.
Woof, woof. You see, I brought my bitch, but I had to keep her confined to a basket. You see, I was ordered. But in regards to the issue on item 2, under one officer, K9 number 074/16, Mr. Spindler is correct. It doesn't identify whether or not it's a male or a bitch. See, I don't normally walk around with my bitch wearing colors that represent a bitch color, but it helps. Most people ask me, how's your dog? I says, it's not a dog, it's a PSD. And then they ask me, well, does that mean K9? No, not a cuckoo 9 or a crazy 9, but a K9. A registered police dog, like my service animal in a service bag. Because I'm being discriminated because I can't take my PSD dog out of the fucking bag. The same way these canine dogs become so aggressive, they injure people and create liability against the city of Los Angeles and other municipalities of cities where police dogs are involved. The same way back in the day when one of your canines ran through my yard back in Folsom Street, and one of your officers discharged his weapon on my dog in the yard. Not a service dog, but a chow. And you had to pay to fix the fucking fence that your fat fucking cop knocked over, and I had to repair for my old dime fucking mother. So keep control of your canines and keep animals safe. I love you, Pepito, and I always will love you, Sobro.
We have 2 public comment cards on item 5A3, Puppet, followed by Herman.
So I find this 3A number 583 to be a complete outrage. Deputy Chief Moore? Would Deputy Chief Moore use a canine to hurt anybody? Deputy Chief Moore is the functional equivalent of a lovable puppy. How in the world can a Deputy Chief Moore be on item 5A3? I am outraged. I demand that these charges be dropped against this Deputy Chief immediately. It's an outrage. And a lieutenants in the department don't deal with canines. You know that. You go out to the dog park, right? They take the canines out in the back. And then they run, they do their business. I won't say what it is. Well, you know, they defecate, okay? So they take a shit. So canines and lieutenants, those are mixed. Now you got 7 police officer 3s to handle 1 dog? 7 cops to handle 1 dog. That shows you how dangerous this animal is. 7 cops to handle 1 German Shepherd. Now that, we got some real trouble with the training. So I would bring these dogs back to their trainers, demand a refund, and a replacement of a better dog. And the first thing next meeting, I want you to bring one of these canines in here, and I want to see if the dog can behave. I'm going to stand right here. You're going to bring the canine in the middle, and I'm going to go sit, roll over, and catch the ball. And for the record, I'll bring a ball, and I'll throw it, and I'll see if this dog can do these 3 things. If they can't, that's a liability to the city. And the most important thing about dogs, Mr. Soboroff, pay your fucking dog fucking license fees.
Herman?
Whew, now that the guard is down and the trooper representing America and that of Deputy Chief, Mr. Moore, thank you for your pleasant conversation with me in the dog park yesterday. But let me go on record for the topic of conversation. You see, you can't just have any kind of canine. You have to have a canine that's in control. Not a service dog, but a canine that's in control. See, the Department of Justice requirement doesn't specify that a PSD has to be like a canine, fully engaged in control. See, military officers like MPs use canine, but let's not get on the MPs of our Marines and Army. Shout out, hoorah. But let's talk about how 1 canine, 2 canines, 3 canines on this report reflect a negative impact on the city's civil liberties, of what you must pay. You continue to ask the dogs to perform violent measures on people who have a due process by law, Mr. Sibley. I understand a dog will act upon command. A dog will also stop upon command. The same way my dog, woof, woof, stops at every signal upon command. So when you attack people with service dogs, when you discriminate against people with service dogs, people with identifying license, don't be a fucking cheapskate and pay those 15 years of non-license, Soboroff. Fuck you.
We have one comment card on 5A4, Puppet.
So, we talk about item 5A4, K9, number 07716, date of occurrence 11/15/16. Not one police officer 3, not two police officer 3s, 3 police officer 3s with another deadly animal. It's not the animal's fault. The dog looks to you and says, "Master, what am I supposed to do?" You train the fucking dog in the right way. You're training 3 different dogs to assault 3 different Latinos. This is a fucking embarrassment. It's a complete charade to the whole concept of the K9 program. I can't believe what I'm seeing here. This is an outrage. Dogs being used as weapons. Dogs being used as weapons of destruction. Dogs that get the city sued, because every single one of these people is going to sue the city for actual physical damages, and it'll lead to punitive damages. Because somebody, and I know this, they have a hard time walking without an extra leg. You only have 2 fucking legs. Dogs have to walk on 4 legs. And in the case of Nuri Martinez, she walks on 4 legs, for the record. But this is not on the topic. I'm speaking about the K9. These fucking dogs are trying to kill people. Stop using these dogs as weapons. Start retraining these dogs. And then finally, pay their dog license.
The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss items number 5A1, 2, 3, and 4 in accordance with Government Code 54957.
That one's not a surprise.
Really? You've got to have an industry that's pretty terrified right now.
Every industry's terrified right now. Look at what's going on in Silicon Valley.
The Board of Police Commissioners has concluded its work in closed session. We are back in open session. In closed session, item 5A1 was discussed, and the chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. In closed session, item 5A2 was discussed, and the chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. In closed session, item 5A3 was discussed, and the chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. In closed session, item 5A4 was discussed, and the chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. Back to number 1M through R on
Through
the
S. Oh, did we
no,
already-
S we voted
oh,
on,
we
sir.
voted on it, okay.
Number 1 on the agenda, consent agenda items M through R. We have no public comment cards, no public present.
Okay, we have a motion for approval of items 1M through 1R. Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay,
Okay. Mr. President, is there a motion to adjourn?
so moved. Not wasting any time on that one. Okay, thank you.